Today's show is brought to you in part by Audible, who has more than 180,000 audiobooks and spoken word audio products. Get a free 30-day trial at audible.com/girlonguy. This is Girl on Guy. Hey everybody, welcome to Girl on Guy 216. Welcome to the show. I know these shows come a lot farther and fewer than you may be accustomed to, especially if you're a long-time Girl on Guy listener. So I just want to thank you for continuing to listen to the show. If you've converted to premium status, welcome and thank you. If you've upgraded, if you haven't, I encourage you to do so, because right now, the most recent 10 episodes of Girl on Guy are free. They'll always be free and accessible via iTunes or Stitcher, or however you listen to the show. And then anything previous to that, anything older than 10 episodes ago, will be accessible via the app and premium service. And that's just a way for me to keep making this show. I'm making a lot fewer shows. I'm not taking as much advertising. There were 5 episodes a month. Now there's just 1. So just to keep the show going, pay for storage space, download space, bandwidth, all that stuff. Putting the show behind a paywall is just a way to make sure that the show stays alive and is able to pay for itself. If you haven't already upgraded to premium access, you will get access to over 250 episodes. It's almost 300 episodes of Girl on Guy when you include the exclusive episodes via the app. There's one for the Android and for the iPhone. And access is as little as 79 cents a month to get almost 300 episodes of Girl on Guy, all the way back to the very first Girl on Guy, episode 1, with H. John Benjamin, one of the most epic episodes of Girl on Guy ever created, ever recorded, including his self-inflicted wounds, which is truly a classic. So, the deal is that you consume Girl on Guy the way that you would like, in any way that you would like. And I'm just letting you know that there are many ways to be a listener to the show. And if you'd like access to additional episodes, especially if you're just finding the show now and you've just been introduced to it, and you may not know that it's this very deep riding iceberg. Many, like I said, almost 300 episodes are awaiting you if you upgrade to premium access, which you can do for, I think, $1.99, which gets you 3 months. I don't know. It's very low. It's like I said, if you got the annual subscription, which I think is around $8 or $9, that it comes out to less than $1 a month for access to all episodes to listen to at will, at your leisure, via the app. And you can just get all that information and get access to a premium subscription by going to girlonguy.net. So check that out. This is unusual, you guys, but this is the first year we have a bigger space and a bit more room to accommodate more people for my annual fan appreciation event at Comic-Con. So if you thought that you were too late, it's weird. Typically the seats go right away, but we got a call from the venue that we had a bit more room than we thought we had. We thought we can accommodate more people than we thought we could. So we've got about 10 more seats left. I encourage you to write in right away if you think you can be in San Diego for Comic-Con, or if you were planning to be there already and you'd like to come to a live taping of my show and also meet me and get lots of presents. Write me at contest@girlonguy.net and put in the subject line the phrase Stone Cold Fox. Write me at that address, contest@girlonguy.net, put in the address line in the subject line, Stone Cold Fox, and you may win a ticket to come see me live and hang out and listen to the show. Not listen to the show, watch the show being recorded live. It's always a really fun, unique experience for people who are going to be in San Diego in July, and I encourage you to apply. And that event will be on Thursday, July 21st in San Diego. You don't win travel to San Diego, but once you're there, if you have won, you will be granted admission. And it's a really fun, cool event. Last year we had T-shirts and stickers and beer, and then people got to be a part of a live taping, and that's what's going to happen again this year. So I encourage you to be there. I think it's going to be a pretty special experience, and I can't wait to share it with you. Contest@girlonguy.net, put in the subject line Stone Cold Fox, and if you are quick, you may be able to snag one of the very few remaining seats that are available for this event. So check that out. As mentioned at the top of the show, this episode of Girl on Guy is brought to you in part by Audible. And if you go to audible.com/girlonguy, you get a free 30-day subscription, free 30-day trial to Audible, which has many, many hundreds of thousands of products that are available to you. Over 180,000 audio titles. And your very first story is free. You get a 30-day trial, and you get to listen to anything you want. Now, if you don't know this already, I do have a book that I wrote. That's my second book. It's called Self-Inflicted Wounds. It is my own collection of self-inflicted wound stories based on this podcast and read by yours truly. So read in my own gravelly, slightly off-putting tones. And it's a fun book. It's a fun read. Lots of people love it. And that could be your first audiobook, but it doesn't have to be. There's lots of awesome stuff on Audible for you to choose from in your 30-day free trial, courtesy of Audible and Girl on Guy. Lots of new books on there, and also books by authors that have been on this show, including brilliant writers like Dave Eggers, Brad Meltzer, Margaret Cho, and books read by guests like Henry Rollins and Maria Bamford. So those are some of the guests that have been on this show that you can also find on Audible, but there's so many more delicious and lovely things to find there. And really, the world is your oyster. I don't know, maybe you are a Game of Thrones fan. I know I am. Maybe you like to read the books. Maybe you're too lazy. They're enormous and long and dense. You could go on Audible and just dive into that now in preparation for what I imagine is going to be a pretty revelatory and exciting, yet abbreviated season 7. We had one of the co-creators of Game of Thrones on this show, David Benioff. Maybe you'd like to do a deeper dive into Game of Thrones. I don't know. The great thing about Girl on Guy is how well so many of our episodes and conversations dovetail with things you love and want to watch and want to dive into. We have a very special guest from a very special show who will be on next month. And I'm not going to give it away yet. I want it to be a surprise. But my point is that I love these things and I try to bring them to you in a meaningful way. And then going on to Audible is an opportunity to extend that experience into the rest of your life, and then maybe come back after having listened to these books, listened to these people read their own work or others' work, and those experiences, listening to something that they did on Audible, can then enrich your experience listening to Girl on Guy. A lot of times it fleshes out things they've referred to, experiences they've had, and just makes everything better. There's just so much good stuff awaiting you at Audible, and also awaiting you in the Girl on Guy archives. So I encourage you to look at one and then the other, and maybe pick something that will enrich your experience of both. The great thing is this is free to you for 30 days. So go audible.com/girlonguy for your 30-day trial, and make sure to do it that way so that you let Audible know that advertising on Girl on Guy is meaningful for them, meaningful for you, and meaningful for this show. You want to let them know that their money is well spent on my little podcast. So go to audible.com/girlonguy for your free 30-day trial of Audible. Pick any book, listen to anything you like. The world is your creative and auditory oyster. And I encourage you to avail yourself of these offers because they're free. And I really think there's no point in leaving essentially a big bag of money on the table. So go ahead and visit it, audible.com/girlonguy for your free 30-day trial. Check that out. This episode, everyone, is with Marianne Jean-Baptiste. And I said it that way because I am a fancy fucker. She is pretty much one of the coolest people that I've ever interacted with. She's an actress, a singer-songwriter, composer, and director who burst onto the international scene. I'm sorry that I sound like a reporter on an entertainment show, but it's true, for a role as Hortense Cumberbatch in the film Secrets and Lies, for which she was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. You may know her also as Vivian Johnson on the long-running American television series Without a Trace, and in the show Broadchurch that she stars in, and also in the show Blindspot, which is a very popular show, and she was just in the first season of that show on NBC. So she's a pretty special person, and funny and brilliant and no nonsense. I mean, no bullshit. Let me be no bullshit. She's no bullshit. I find her dazzling to be around and to listen to. And I also just admire her intensely because I feel like, I don't know. I don't know. You ever meet somebody you just want to be them when you grow up? She's one of those people. You know, she's just funny, and she cuts through the bullshit, and she's incredibly talented. And her theatrical background is deep and rich and intense. And, I just think she's just a dazzling person and a dazzling talent. And she is here on Girl on Guy for you right now. So I can't not wait for you to listen to it. It's going to be spectacular. Ready your earballs for this show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Girl on Guy 216 with the actress, director, composer, and all around, supernova, Marianne Jean-Baptiste, coming at you straight out of the Girl on Guy bunker and right into your face. I hope I'm going to give your name the proper French pronunciation, and then you can. But Marianne Jean-Baptiste, welcome to my show.
Thank you, merci.
No, et à vous. But we're going to start at the beginning because you have such a beautiful name. It's a French name, but you're obviously British.
Yes.
And so you were born. Where were you born?
I was born in London.
Okay.
Southeast London, St Giles Hospital. Yeah. So I'm a very city kid.
Tell me, okay, for people who don't know the nuances of kind of the landscape of London, I always feel like when you mention a neighborhood in a big city like that, it says something very specific. So what is Southeast London like?
Southeast London, well, we have a big rival with North London.
Okay.
And, we always say we come from the sunny side, they're from the north, and you just have to speak to somebody and ask them where they're from. If they say they're from South London, they'll say, I come from South.
Okay, a South.
We say South. That's what it is, the South London massives. But it's huge because you've got Brixton, Dulwich, Peckham, New Cross. I mean, it just spreads out.
It's a huge city.
Yeah, Battersea.
Yeah, and you have like and I'm not like an accent aficionado, but is the TH turning into the F specific to South London?
It most certainly is. Yeah.
Okay, it's the London that Don Cheadle did in the infamous. Did he do it well? I wonder. How was Don Cheadle's accent in Ocean's 12?
It wasn't a South London.
No, it wasn't. Okay.
No. But I think he was going for East. I think he was kind of going for the Cockney with Bow Bells, which is quite different again.
Yeah.
Obviously, we pick up all the nuances coming from there, but here it probably all sounds like,
the same.
They all talk a bit like that.
Right. I mean, I think an American, if they heard like whatever you would deem like a proper British accent or a proper like a high London accent, they could differentiate that from something like a Cockney accent.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, the subtleties are utterly lost on us.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Queens, Bronx, Brooklyn.
Right. And I think someone from here wouldn't be able to tell those things apart either. You'd have to be from New York to tell Queens and the Bronx apart from Brooklyn accent. When your parents were from, they migrated?
Caribbean.
Okay. What island?
My father was half St. Lucian, half French. And my mother's from Antigua.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so they met in London.
They met in London.
We definitely don't have a lot of, I think, like a big Caribbean community here in LA. Like there's a big one in New York, and I imagine there was a big one. There is a big one in London.
Huge in London. Yeah.
But it's funny because I think. Again, like somebody who wasn't from the Caribbean would not differentiate between the islands, but I imagine the cultures are very, very distinct. Very
different, very distinct. I mean, the one that everybody, talks about and knows and is quite familiar is Jamaica. And it's one of the biggest islands in the Caribbean. But, you've got Nevis, you've got St. Lucia, you've got Grenada, you've got Barbados, and each of them have different accents.
Right.
In St. Lucia and Dominica, they speak patois, Creole, and French. So it's very different. They share some similarities, but the food, the kind of music that they're into in St. Lucia, and I'd actually like to do a story about it one of these days. They're heavily into country music.
Oh, I love it.
Which is hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
I visited the Dominican Republic, which shares this island, with Haiti, and it's amazing how they're on the same island and their cultures are so different.
Yeah.
And also how again, to a black person from America, everybody just look like a black person, but like they see each other so differently. And of course, if you're Dominican, you would say you could look at Haitian, but whatever, without ever hearing them speak and just that person's Haitian or they're Dominican. I'm like, y'all look like black folks to me. But I which just is my own American lack of understanding. But did I guess whenever people migrate to a new place, they tend to cling to each other, and those differences start to fall away.
Right.
So did and your parents were obviously from two different islands, but they came together. And I wondered, did the community there start to blend just because of need?
The Caribbean communities blended very well. And again, I was just speaking to somebody about it yesterday with the Irish, because when they went over in the 50s, there would be these signs on the door saying, no dogs, no blacks, and no Irish. And so I always tease my Irish friends and saying, remember, you were at the bottom of the list. We were one above you. right at the bottom.
I need to get one of those signs for a few of my friends.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
So there was a lot of mixture with the Irish community as well, which is funny for Jamaicans in particular, because some of the accent, the Jamaican accent, has its roots in the Irish accent.
Right, interesting.
So that's a very interesting combination, and a lot of Jamaicans married Irish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to learn more things. When you were growing up, what was your sense of yourself? Like, what culture did you feel closest to?
Probably Caribbean, I say, growing up. Although we went to school and we played with whoever was in the neighborhood, there was this, we ate Caribbean food. We sort of, like the parties that we went to, we listened to calypso and some reggae, and, so it was very heavily sort of like influential in my growing up. I'd say, Caribbean.
It's, I don't know if I'm going to articulate this properly, but I always want to, ever I have someone on the show who's like a first generation, you know what I mean? Like their parents were migrants.
Yeah.
There's always this conflict between who you are at home, or not conflict, not in a negative way, but a difference, a dichotomy between who you are at home with your family and who you are at school.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those first generation kids are struggling to be more of the place that they are then.
Right.
Rather than, your parents are Korean and they don't speak English, and you come here and you just want to be an American kid. You want to kind of fit in. Did you feel that way at all? Did you feel that pressure?
Not really, because, I think it's a language thing as well, because we spoke English.
Right,
My dad
exactly.
would speak French or patois, but predominantly English was spoken. So we weren't going to schools with accents or anything like that. And my mum would say, in her Caribbean accent, say, talk properly. So it would be like, shall we say that like you said it, or shall we say it how everyone else does? But it was always that thing of, you're here, embrace the culture that you're in, and you'll advance that way, or you'll get through, which I think becomes a problem for people when they're much older, because you're suddenly being given a title of Black British, and you kind of go, I'm British.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
like, wait a minute, what?
Caribbean. Hang on a minute. I was born here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I didn't go to the Caribbean until I was about 6.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And in some ways, those titles, which people use to, I don't know, dance around sometimes, soften sometimes, nuance sometimes, like the term African American. Right? I get why people, I get why people use it, and I respect it. But Charlize Theron is African American.
There's a little girl at school. It's so funny. My daughter, I think she was my youngest daughter. I think she was about in 5th grade, and that's when they start to do their first sort of standardized tests, and they have to write where they come from on it. So her best friend at the time, Madison, whose mother is South African and whose father is American, writes African American, and Layla writes other.
Oh, wow.
So the teacher's sort of going, oh, no, it's wrong. And they're arguing like, well, no, it's not. I'm other because I'm not African American, and she's African American.
Yeah, exactly.
She actually is,
Yeah. These labels, a lot of times, they're just, I get even who I don't even know who came up with that term, it was kind of in the 70s or the 80s to replace the term Black,
Which I feel comfortable with.
Black, I use it all the time. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I've actually done interviews where, the poor interviewer has said, and as an African American, and I'm sort of like, I'm not African American. To be quite honest with you,
and in your particular case, neither of those terms, because your family, genetically we're all African,
Precisely, yeah.
But, your family been in the Caribbean for however many hundreds of years, however many generations. So the most specific would be, Caribbean British, but
but nobody says Hungarian American or
exactly.
Polish American.
That's so true. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't. So
just American.
Yeah, it's just American.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll take it. It's true. It's an accurate description. When you were growing up, Well, it seems like your mom was focused on academics. You have how many siblings do you have?
I have 2 left. I had an older brother who passed away.
No.
Years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, 18 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, were you an artsy kid? Like what was the focus of your life?
What was really interesting is at about the age of 7 or 8, I had this fabulous English teacher. And I think she was in a folk band with another English teacher from another year. And they used to play the guitar.
Adorable.
And get us to sing songs and do all that sort of stuff. And she got me into dance. She said, there's this little dance program that you should go to. And my mum and dad, both of them worked, so it was like she'd take me home on a Friday evening with her after school, give me something to eat, and then take me to this dance class.
That's
and
fabulous.
I'd do this sort of being trees and, it was contemporary.
Yeah.
And I suppose that was my first taste of the arts, other than being in school plays and so on. My dad played various instruments, and so there was always music in the house. But I wanted to be a barrister for a very long time.
Interesting.
I used to watch a show called Crown Court, which was based on sort of like real cases.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd love to do that. And so for years, that's what I was going to do, but I always did a bit of drama on the side, or music, singing, And so I think by the time I left school on the promise of taking a gap year and then going to study law, I sort of thought, well, I need to get a job. I'll see if I can get into a play or something. I went on tour with a band called Flesh Mesh Yum Yum.
What kind of music?
We missed out on the punk era.
I was going to say, it sounds
we were
punk.
Too young.
The name is very punk,
We were too young for punk, but we were into punk and funk. So it was horrible.
I love it, though. It's so great.
But we had a great time on a nasty bus touring around Europe. And I thought, right, I'm going to apply for drama school. I think I'm going to try and go for that.
Wow.
And I remember telling my dad, thinking he'd be mortified. And he just said, do whatever you want to do, but make sure you do it well.
Oh, that's lovely.
I was like, okay, then.
God, that's really lovely.
Yeah.
Was that shocking to you?
It was a relief, but it was so heartbreaking that I felt like going to uni and doing law.
Right.
Just because he'd been so selfless about
Right. It was like he was making you feel worse about it, right? It would have been easy if you could have fought a bit. And
I think my mum stopped asking me when I was going to get a proper job about 10 years ago. Yeah, she's still sort of like
far after the Oscar nominated.
Yeah, she said, oh dear, when are you going to get a proper job? You just go, I'm doing all right.
It's going okay. Let's stick it out a couple more years.
I know.
Oh my God. So you applied to.
I applied to RADA and I got in. And
fabulous.
I went off and did that.
RADA's in London, right?
Yes.
And RADA's like the NYU. I mean, I'm trying to think because or the Juilliard.
It's probably the Juilliard.
Yeah.
Or Juilliard is the RADA.
Oh, there we go. That's utterly fair. Yes, Juilliard is the RADA of the United States.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you?
It was great. I think I had a good time. My parents earned too much for me to get a full grant, but not enough. To
pay for it. Yeah, exactly.
So basically, I worked all the way through, which I think saved me immensely. Because I felt like I was paying to go there.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to get that.
Right.
No, let's meet afterwards to work on that speech.
Yeah, I'm not going to party all night and miss a class.
No way.
Well,
I couldn't. I was in the Empire Leicester Square, ushering people to their seats.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I think that saved me, because otherwise I'd have just...
Well, do what most kids do in college, which is kind of half-assed until the end and then wish you tried harder. Like I remember waking up one day my senior year and I was like, ugh, I should have been paying more attention. I mean, it was fun, you know what I mean? But your sense of, God, the urgency of that and the kind of importance of it must have been so much just more apparent to you, right? Because you're like, I know exactly what this is costing me.
Yeah.
Not just literally, but personally, existentially, my energy, everything.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And you were working in the movie theater, the Empire Leicester Square? It's adorable.
I saw Planes, Trains and Automobiles probably about 56 times.
I have only gone to London really as an adult. Like I went once as a college student, but I don't remember it. But I've been like recently. I don't know. Whenever you go to a place and you're not of it, it seems so magical to you. Did it seem like a magical? You grew up there.
Yeah. Some parts of it, because it's funny, you grow up in South London, for example, and you get to the age whereby you venture into town, which is the West End. And so, first of all, you go with your parents and they take you uptown and you go to John Lewis's or Debenhams or Selfridges, and it's this big, exciting world. And then you get of the age to go there yourself and it's like, ugh. And then you kind of go, oh, Camden Town, venture over there. So, I mean, there were periods of excitement in discovering new parts of London.
When you graduated from, let's pause for 1 second. When you were in, because a lot of this was a discovery for you, like, oh, I think I'm going to do a play and I think I'm going to, apply to theater school. Did you have a sense when you were there what kind of an actor you wanted to be, what kind of a career you wanted to pursue?
That's a difficult one because I think that when you go to an institution like that, they're very much into trying to mold, or they tell you what you are, or rather what you're not.
And this is what, because of what your look, your ability, or whatever, this is the space that you should occupy? Or
yes.
this is your set of abilities?
That you could occupy.
Okay.
So for me, I've always looked at it, and there's a pattern. My disadvantages always work out to be advantages because, it was sort of like this little force from South London who, they didn't quite know what to do with me. It was like, I got interesting roles. Like I got Puck in Midsummer Night's Dream because I wasn't going to be one of the lovers, Hermia or Helena. I played a King Thoas in a Greek tragedy. So all the time, I just kept getting these really, it's almost like they didn't know what to do with
didn't
me.
know what to do with you, yeah.
So I kind of, they would be like, oh, who could play that old mother in that? Give it to her, because, there's some weight. So maybe she'll be able to carry that off. So I don't think I ever yearned for the kind of, love interest, girlfriend, object of beauty type character. I was, the witch was always a bit more interesting, or the psycho.
But it's I mean, I think that's really interesting, like an interesting way to think about this business generally. And like, when you look at someone like you who's just had this kind of ongoing success, and you were an actor when you were younger, and I heard that too, like, we just don't know what to do with you. I'm like twice as tall as everybody around me, and, and as a, even doing comedy, like people really want a kind of a Def Comedy Jam comic, and I wasn't that kind of comic, and people are like, you don't fit in any of the slots that we've created or imagined for you. That, like you said, it does become this advantage because you kind of become an outlier, right? You can almost do anything. In this, but then in this business, there's a party that has to realize, well, I'm not going to ever pursue. I'm never going to be Spider-Man's girlfriend, so I'm going to stop lamenting it. Right? Or if lamenting it is even a pursuit, and know that there's all these other things that I can do, and kind of tell people, since they can't figure it out, then I'm going to tell people who I am. I'm going to tell people what I can do. Did that become apparent to you early on in your career?
Yeah, it did. I mean, what was really good as well is that my last year at drama school, you get to do these plays, and they invite agents to come in and casting directors and all that. And the principal came to me and said, we'd like you to write something because we know that you write as well. So, and you do music and you sing, and it would be great if you could just write yourself a one-woman piece. And that also means that you've got something that you can use when you leave.
Yeah.
Put it on here or there or the other. And so I had that opportunity, which was really good.
Yeah.
And invaluable, because it kind of said, okay, they can't fit me in a box, I'll make one.
Right. Which is such a different level of power for an artist,
right?
Especially in a business where we're constantly like, please put me in this thing, please hire me for this, please cast me. To be in a position to create things for yourself, it just you're operating on a different level than most
totally.
actors. Yeah.
Totally.
Where did that kind of polymathy come from, where you were writing and doing music? Was this just stuff you were pursuing on your own that you loved, or?
Yeah, it was something that, because they'd remembered that my audition piece, I couldn't find a piece. that, you had to do a classical piece and a modern piece, and there wasn't anything that kind of really got me, so I wrote
fabulous
a monologue.
Yeah.
And I performed that, and I remember sort of them saying, "What pieces are you going to do for us?" I'm saying, "I'm going to do, I think it was Queen Margaret from King Henry V, Part 2, and blah, 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 by Marianne Jean-Baptiste."
Fabulous. The cheek.
I know, the balls. My balls were ginormous. It really was, because people had told me that I would never get in.
No, there's
You'll
no
never
way.
get
Like,
into
what are you
RADA.
thinking?
So I went, fuck
Fuck
then.
it, right? Why not then? Yeah. Oh, that's just so delicious.
Yeah. Now I wouldn't dream of doing something like
But you had nothing to lose, really,
I
right?
know,
And
nothing.
I know there had to be half of them just going, well, God, seriously, the nuts on this one.
Yeah.
Just to go and with a serious face go, and then a
Gargantuan
piece of
balls.
my own creation.
Yeah, I bounced in on them. Do you know what I mean? Like one of those-
Your feet didn't reach the floor. So you wrote the piece that you performed when you graduated.
Yeah.
And then what was, I'm always so curious about what everybody's kind of first step in the real world is.
Well, I got an agent who was really great. He did something. I don't think that I'll ever have another agent like that, to be quite honest. We since parted company just because
Life changes and your needs
moving
change.
in a different direction, and he just wasn't there yet to be able to handle it. But one of the first meetings we had, he says to me, "Okay, excuse me, I knew that sparkling water was going to come up."
We predicted it. It's all right.
Yeah. So he said, "Write a list of all the people you want to work with."
Wow.
And so I said, "Okay." He goes, "Look, it doesn't have to be looked. Let's start with 3 people." And I wrote their names down. And he said, "Okay, give it to me." And he put it in his drawer. And he shut it. And we just talked about work and what sort of work I was interested in doing. And, he talked a bit about television, because in England, television is so small compared to...
Even today,
yes.
where there are all these hit shows that we know.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to get people to watch shows I love, like The Fall. You have to watch The Fall. And I'm like, you can catch up with it. There's only 6 episodes a season.
Yeah, but that's... I mean, I love that. I went back and did Broadchurch a couple of years ago, and you do 8 episodes.
Right.
But boy, do you do those episodes. You take your time. You build the character. You collaborate with the writers. It's just a different experience,
process.
and process. And I think it shows.
Right. And there is a richness. It's like, instead of it being like, we've got to fill 13 hours or 22 hours of television, there's just, is it possible to make 22 hours of great anything? It's just so rarely done.
Yeah.
What's the one that Idris Elba just did? 4 episodes of
Luther.
Luther. 4 episodes. Where are the rest? But you can really imbue those 4 episodes with an incredible value. So you were saying, before I got all excited about things, that you were going to move into TV, but it was very small.
Yeah, it was very small, and it was. That's what everybody's sort of like. Oh, I'd love to do a job on TV, blah blah blah. Well, that didn't come. I spent years doing theatre, which I absolutely love. If I could just do theatre, I probably would, but I wouldn't eat very much. So I just sort of, that's when you start learning, actually, when you come out and you start sort of putting that stuff into practice.
Right.
Remembering about centering your voice and all that good stuff. And I did that for years. I think I got 2 little TV things. And then I was asked to go in to meet Mike Lee for a film. And that I found very exciting, because I'd loved his work for years. And so I auditioned for him, and it was for what became Naked.
God, that movie's so insane.
know.
I'm using the word insane as like the highest of compliments. Like
it's
I just remember seeing that and just like, God, having even now thinking back, I'm like, it just really rattled me as a viewer, but then as an actor, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
incredible.
So I went up to see him for that, and auditioned for him, if you call it that.
What was that process like? Was it an audition?
Well, that process is, it was kind of a space very much like this, with a television, sofa, newspapers, something to make tea and coffee with. And basically he says, I just want you to think of a character, be that character in that space.
Oh my God.
So I sat and read a newspaper for about an hour, made a cup of tea, and that was that.
Really?
Yeah.
No, and said nothing?
Not a word. Because you wouldn't.
Alone in a space?
Alone
No, you
in a-
wouldn't. It would be manufactured, wouldn't
Yeah.
it? God,
So-
that's so fucking interesting.
It's really interesting.
Wait, but no, okay, no, you don't get to go on. Tell me what you were feeling. Were you it's not that I don't feel like I could do it, but just thinking about it is very frightening to me. Just that kind of that silence and really persisting. I mean, you would really.
But yeah, and also knowing that he's in the room.
Not
So I
wanting
think
to kind
those
of
big
look to him
balls
for
were there in the
approval
room with
or.
me as well, they're couilles. They were there, and it's that thing of sort of like, fuck him.
Right, yeah.
Just read the paper. Been here for a while. Have a cup of tea.
God. No, and was there any fear or intimidation, like kind of internally, or no?
There was excitement, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think he made me, the fear wasn't there because he was very nice.
Yeah.
And very sort of like, look, it's fine, just be whatever comes.
Yeah.
Just be in the space and stuff like that. And I think because we're similar in the stuff that we like, that I was fine. I mean, I could have been into something else, because I think a lot of people think that they've got to be very quirky
to do
and
something,
weird and do something for Mike Leigh. But I think that's really looking at his work on the surface, as opposed to really digging deep into what happens with some of those characters. So that was so funny. And then I got this. My agent said, "Oh, it's not going to work out," and I was like, fuck! Yeah, but. And then I got this beautiful letter for him from Mike saying, it's not going to work out this time, but I'm definitely going to work with you in the future. So I was like, yeah, fuck. And then I got a call out of the blue for a play. And he hadn't done a play for 10 years. And so he was going to do this play, and he wanted me to go in and do it. And then I was like, yes.
Yeah.
So then that started the relationship. And of course, after that, we did Secrets and Lies together. And then after that, we worked together on Career Girls, on music. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the play?
It was called It's a Great Big Shame.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
What was it about?
It took place in the 1800s and the 1900s. So, no, it didn't take place in the 1900s. It took place in like 1993.
Oh, okay.
And basically it was about the same house in 100 years. And there was a haunting. A woman had murdered her husband. And in the second half, it was, in 1993, and this woman was having problems with her husband, and she ends up strangling him.
Oh, wow.
In the same way.
Ooh,
So
fabulous.
It was. It was
a really delicious story to tell. So Secrets and Lies was the movie that kind of changed. Was it the movie that changed your career?
Yeah, for sure. It did.
Because you'd been, for the most part, a theater actor up to that point. And then that was such a sensation, that movie.
It was. It was crazy, actually.
It was a sensation. Well, it was a Mike Leigh movie, and his movies are always a sensation. But that it was a sensation, I think. I just remember it making such a splash. And then, it had gotten all these different nominations, with that BAFTA and Oscar and all these different nominations. And I think I remember at the time people talking a lot about, and it was a while ago, so I might get this wrong, that the movie was improvised, or that like a substantial amount of it was improvised.
All of it.
And that was like just unheard of. Like, oh, okay, it's experimental and that's interesting, but for it to be to be experimental and this good and get nominated, you know, in a field, well, it's not that writers are treated that wonderfully, but you know that they're revered on some level, and these screenplays are being nominated, and this was something where, in a lot of ways, the actors had all of this creative power and input. This is how I'm remembering it, but is that how it was playing at the time?
Yeah, I mean, people have been very vague about Mike's process for a long time because he doesn't really speak about it, you know, and he's just sort of fed up of answering.
Right, and people are fascinated by it because it seems so unpredictable and wild.
Yeah. But it's very well orchestrated by him. But what it does is it provides an opportunity for actors to act in an extremely organic way. So there is no script. What happens is you create these characters in isolation.
Isolation, okay.
Right. So you work on your own with Mike, creating a character from the day they're born to the day you're going to play them.
Now, what is that process like? Are you writing things down? Are you talking about them?
No note-taking whatsoever. It's just...
You're just talking it out.
You're just talking it out.
And are you playing it out on occasion
No,
or just discussing it?
you're just talking it out. And, you know, where they went to school, their friends, their neighbours, who lived in the house next door to that. You know, how long was it? What bus did they take to school? Or did they walk to school? Where did they go for lunch? I mean... detail, like you'd leave with a headache at the end.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the kind of thing that I think would be really exciting, but like you said, like the level of detail must have been excruciating because probably a couple of days you ran out of ideas.
Yeah, you do. I mean, well, it's weird because it just, I don't know if it takes a particular kind of mind to just fire off all that stuff once you've started building and establishing. And I mean, yeah, you can get a bit cheeky with it, you know, because I'd done the play with him, I knew that, you know, once you find your occupation, you go off and you study that in the process. Right. So when he was talking about what Hortense would do for a living, I was like, oh, she's a pilot. And he was like, fuck off. No, she's not. Oh, right.
Okay, fine.
She's a model.
She tastes high cuisine for a living.
She's a food critic. Poor Brenda Bleffin had to work in a factory making boxes.
Oh, my God.
For 3 months.
I was going to say, yeah, and is it that long? Is it that sustained of a process?
It's a 6-month rehearsal process and 3 months to film.
Gosh.
So... you know, you could give birth in that time.
You sure could. Yeah. And 3 months to film is luxurious, especially for a film where nothing is exploding.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Did it feel luxurious? Did it feel like you really got to inhabit these people? Because
you do.
Yeah.
But that whole rehearsal process does that for you. And you don't concern yourself with stuff that doesn't concern you. Like, you know, I didn't know what I knew he was in it, but I didn't know what he was until that big improvisation at the barbecue at the end. And they go, oh, it's Uncle Morris. Okay, we'll go along with that. So you're not you're just focusing on that particular character, what they do.
Which makes sense, doesn't it? Because you
does.
wouldn't have known about Uncle Horace until, in real life, if you'd never met this human being, you'd have no plan for interacting with them until you were interacting with them. So it does seem organic.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, but it makes perfect sense to me. And we've already established that you're incredible at improvisation, having made yourself a cup of tea for an hour in silence in a room with a film director. Never. I mean, and to me, like, just the impulse to kind of peep to see how it was going would have been so intense.
Listen, when we were doing, so what we would do was improvise a scene. Now, some of these improvisations went on for like 3 hours.
That was, yeah.
Like the barbecue one was 9 hours from the beginning, from the time I left my house to drive to Hortense's apartment to get into Hortense's clothes, to then get into her car to drive to the barbecue house. From beginning to end, it took about 9 hours. But, you know, I remember doing the scene with the first time she meets Cynthia, Brenda Blathin's character. And it was a mock-up, so I was actually in front of a cemetery. And I stood on the street for about 40 minutes waiting, thinking she's not turned up. Oh my God. And I just spied Mike Lee across the road behind a pillar, sort of peeping to see what was going on. I was thinking, that
motherfucker.
He's sick.
Yeah.
He's sick what he makes people go through. He's twisted. It's just torture.
One of the things about improv, especially narrative improv versus like when you're doing a comedic thing and it's kind of a burst of effort, is so much of what you do just never makes it into the movie. Just because that's the nature of it. He had a narrative framework, right? He knew what the relationships were. You must have known a little bit about what was going to happen to Hortense, like what the premise of the film was. Yeah.
No, nobody does. I don't know, but when we finished the film, two of the actors were like, they'd done something else, and they sort of said to him, "Look, we're gonna be doing press. Can we talk about the film?" And he said no. And he was telling me the story. I said no to them. Nobody knows what the film's about. Only you know what the film's about. And I'm thinking, I don't know what the film's about. I mean, I could, literally you'll get a day out of days.
Yeah.
And it will be like scene 42, Hortense. Everything else is redacted. Scene this, Hortense. Everything else
really?
You don't know what the hell is going on.
So for people listening, a day out of days is the schedule of the work for the whole movie.
Yes.
And it'll say like you said, like on Monday we're shooting scene 42, a day exterior is scene 43, the next day is night in Hortense's apartment or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it just helps you figure out what the hell's going on. But so you wouldn't know
when,
right? And these scenes are numbered for you, but you haven't seen a script, so those scene numbers don't even mean anything other than we're going to be at this location or that location.
Right. So what it feels like is, even though when we watch the whole film, you kind of go, okay, it's her journey. Losing her parents and finding, her birth mother, etc., and meeting their family. But it feels like that story for Hortense, or for the actor playing Hortense, that seems quite short.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? When once you get into shooting it, it's like, okay, so the story could well be about Cynthia and all the other stuff that she does without, or it could be about the daughter.
Yeah.
So.
And you have no idea because there's all kinds of things that are going on without your participation. Yeah. When did you know what the movie was about?
When I saw it. Oh my God.
Oh my God. And were you, what was your reaction? Were you struck? Yeah.
It was interesting though, because I don't watch myself.
Interesting. A lot of actors can't do that. And as a policy, you don't watch your own stuff.
And I feel terrible sometimes because people are sort of like, oh, that movie and da-da-da. And I'm thinking, I ain't seen it.
Not only that, I have no idea.
If I have to go to a premiere, then I'll sit there and watch.
Right.
But I'm like this half the time. But what was interesting about watching her, granted it was quite early on in my film television career, I felt like I was watching someone else.
Interesting.
I didn't feel like I was watching her because we did so much work to remove. I mean, I even talk about her. I never say I.
Right.
About any of my characters, actually, but because of, that training, I suppose, with Mike Lee. But it felt like I was just watching somebody else's story.
Wow. That's so exciting. I mean, because part of the reasons why you don't watch work, and a lot of actors don't watch the work, is because they feel self-conscious, self-aware, kind of aware of, I don't know, all of our tricks or our foibles or the things we wish we'd done differently or the things we like, and then kind of picking things apart. And it must have been so interesting to feel so divorced from something you'd created, because typically it's the opposite. You can see yourself kind of poking through the veneer the entire time, which is why sometimes it's so hard to watch yourself perform.
Yeah.
What did that time feel like when that movie came out and it got all of that? And you had been, for years, a working actor in the theater, which can be transporting in every way and fulfilling, but, just a different level of scrutiny. And I don't even know, not even modern scrutiny, like, fuck the internet, but just attention.
Yeah, it was bizarre. What's interesting, the thing is when it came out, we then had to go in England. We were on a tour, sort of like doing publicity in the States and in Europe, and being at Locarno Film Festival and Cannes and all those places. And so it was weird because you're being told that this is great, you're a fabulous actress, what are you doing next? And you're like, nothing. I'm not doing anything next because I'm doing this. And,
right.
You know, Brenda Blethyn and I, literally, we were at, what was that hotel called? It was up on La Cienega.
Oh, here in LA?
Yeah. Oh, no, it was behind Sunset. It was Sunset and...
Is it the one where it's down Sunset Marquis?
No.
Standard, the Argyle.
It's off of... Is that La Cienega? Yes, it is La Cienega. And it's just round a corner there. Mm-hmm. We decided that we'd stay on.
Oh, fabulous.
In LA for a bit to just meet casting directors and stuff like that. But didn't have any money. Brent was like, look, don't worry, darling. I'll pay for the hotel, and we'll just stay out for a couple of days and do it all. And I remember going to meet her in her hotel room one day, and she'd gone to the supermarket and got some small cereal boxes, and and ordered some milk from room service, and was using a shoehorn to eat her cereal. And I was just looking at her going, this is crazy. We're in Hollywood, you know? We're like, everybody's talking about how great this film is.
Right, the Oscar-nominated film.
Yeah.
She's got her
shoehorn. And then we went to the
cereal.
laundrette to wash our clothes because the service in the hotel was too expensive.
Too expensive. Oh, God. What a mystery. And that is such a typical conversation to be having on the carpet or whatever in this town, or not even in this town, like the metaphorical, the larger in this town. Yeah. What's next for you? What are you doing next? Like, it's never enough that you've just been in this monumental thing that took a year of your life. It's like, but you've got what's next on your agenda? Yeah. Without being uncouth, how old were you at that time?
Oh my God, I must have been 27, 28, around that time.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like maybe like your mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
And I guess something like that can be kind of thrust upon you in a very strange way. You're not calculating, you're not thinking anything about it. You're just making a film.
From London, you don't.
Right.
At that time. Right. Now, people in the film industry have got very savvy to what an Oscar campaign is.
Right.
And but we were on one, but didn't know we were on one, and didn't dream that we would ever be nominated. Because it was just outside of our realm, to be quite honest with you, as actors from England.
Right.
So when it all sort of like went off, it was just very bizarre and very strange, because a lot of the interviews was like, is this something you'd always dreamt about? And of course you sound like a complete arsehole when you go, no, I'd never dreamt of this, as if, no, I don't want it. Do you know what I mean? But that's not what it was. It was just like, I wouldn't dream in a million years.
Right.
I mean, we didn't even watch it that much.
Really? Yeah, the Oscars. Yeah, like just generally.
Because of the time difference. And you'd always read about it in the newspaper or hear about it, but it's become more of this, we're going to watch the Oscars, and people are now sort of having Oscar parties
and all of that
stuff.
At
that time, wasn't.
Did it change your life? And I don't mean like in a grand way, but did you start to think, did you reconsider how you were approaching career? Did you decide that you wanted to do more films? Did some, a lot of times it's like, being scouted from, the B leagues, you're a baseball player. Someone sees you have an amazing game and they say, hey, we're going to bring you up to date. I mean, did things change in that way? Not
really. I mean, not in a major way or in a way that one would expect it to, because it's like, it's all work contingent, isn't it?
Right, it is.
And look, even today, there aren't the roles, for black women that one would hope that would come after a nomination like that. So then I called those the wilderness years. There are a number of wilderness years where, although there's this thing where you dwell in this place of no expectation, and expectation keeps knocking on the door and going, yeah, but, and then everybody else is telling, you should be doing this, blah, blah, blah. What about the offers? They should be coming in, no. So you really have to shut down, which is what I did. I kind of went, get out of my head.
Wow.
And just sort of like, and I got married that year, had a baby the following year. And I think it was the perfect kind of thing to just go.
Right. The right time in your life. Yeah.
Leave me alone. Because it's not happening anyway. So.
Right. So stop asking about it. Stop speculating and making me feel crazy about something I didn't feel crazy about before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was great, doing that. Because it just, to be doing something that was so normal, you know, and important.
Humanizing.
And humanizing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then you start connecting with your parents on a totally different level. These people that you've had relationships with the whole of your life.
Right.
When you're carrying a child, they become something else. It becomes another kind of level to that. And so I did that and sort of did bits and pieces, little interesting indie jobs and stuff. And then I did a theatre job before, when I just finished making Secrets and Lies. But then I went off. I got a letter from Peter Brook, a theatre director, asking me to come, saying that he wanted to work with me in Paris. Now, he was another one of the directors that I really wanted to work with. So it was like, brilliant, I'll be in Paris, first year of my daughter's life, you know, I'll be living out there doing theatre. So I went off and did that.
Oh, that's just, I just had like a lot of feelings about that. That was just sounds so delicious.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was fabulous. And then when I came back, that agent...
The agent whose names, you know, we're like, this is like
he's coming back.
Prophecy.
I'm coming back as a prophecy. Yeah, and so I met with him and he took it out and said, okay, we need to write a new list. And I was like, what? He goes, remember that list that I asked you to write? He said, you've worked with all of them.
Oh, come on,
all
Marianne.
of them.
Oh, my God.
And in the order they were written.
Oh.
I was like, bloody hell, I've got to write another list. I should write one now. Right. But now I won't believe
Pilot, bag of gold, unicorn, world peace.
God.
Not in that order necessarily.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. And did you make a new list?
I didn't. Because I think that the whole experience that I had took away my belief or my ability to make it work in the way that it worked. The experience that I'd had.
Really?
Around, I do. I think it kind of messed with that.
It made you jaded?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I think so. To a certain extent, it made me jaded. Yeah.
Post Secrets and Lies?
Yeah.
Because of this kind of
because
this
of this
valley
thing that you kind of go, I didn't get into this work because of this,
yes.
to get a designer dress or to have diamonds or to just be in a film, to be in a film, but to have nothing to do in that film, just to facilitate the story, somebody else's story or their fantasy or their propaganda in some cases. It's sort of like, what am I doing? Where's the artist? Where's she gone?
Right.
Where I've got to find that.
The thing you were talking about, I was trying to like, you made me think of like the way to articulate it for people listening, like the idea that, like you were saying, you should be doing this and why isn't this happening? And kind of creating, like you said, a set of expectations that really had never crept into your consciousness. And then what you realize is this stuff isn't even important to me. You're making it important to me, or you're implying there's something wrong that it's not important to me. But I'm not going to revise my desires and expectations based on this completely different scale that I've never been invested in. But it's very powerful, those conversations, all those people coming and going, this is what should happen next, this is what you must do next. And it can really, I mean, I think it can really panic you as an actor, because implicit in all of that is if it doesn't go this way, it's not going to go at all. You know what I mean? And I think for women, if you don't do the A, B, C, and D, the clock is ticking, bop, bop, bop. I know. It's bullshit, but I think it's like a litany. It's like an ongoing kind of, like you've got to do A, B, and C in this order and at this speed, or someone's going to lap you. Or,
I mean, right before I did Without a Trace, there was this whole film actor, TV actor thing.
Right.
That doesn't exist anymore,
no,
obviously.
thank God, yeah.
But, it was like, you do film, but there ain't no films coming. So
Right.
what do you want me to do,
Right.
starve? I've now
Right.
got a child.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Was that the next kind of, I don't have better language for this, so I'm going to use this very simple, dumb language, big thing that happened post, because it seems like that was about, that you said you were there for 7 years and it was about 7 years ago. So that was like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, the next kind of like, see, because I feel like
Yeah,
when
it
you're an
was.
artist,
I suppose
everything
it was
is
a
big to you.
profile
Do you know what I
thing.
mean?
It was it was a high profile job, I suppose.
Right. I mean, it's not as big as living in Paris, doing a play in Paris with your, no, that's way better. But it was the kind of the next kind of like high profile project that you did.
Yeah.
And you had to move here.
I had to move to LA.
And at this time you have 2 small children?
2, yeah. I just had my second child, so she's been here.
She's grown up here, essentially.
She's grown up here, yeah.
Does one of your kids have a British accent and one an
Yeah.
American?
Yeah,
Adorable. It's so interesting. Because, so much of your identity can be built around how you sound. You know what I mean? And it must be so interesting for the 2 of them.
I love when they argue.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
that must be so fun.
It is fun. Hilarious. I mean, it used to be better when they're younger. Now it's like, shut up.
Right, exactly.
But when they were younger, it used to be hilarious.
Oh, God. Was that difficult for you to make that decision to move to the States?
It was. Well, what happened was they said it was New York. It was going to shoot in New York. And I was like, oh, that's doable.
And a much shorter
So
flight
far,
from
much
London,
shorter flight. It's, architecturally.
Yeah, it's
quite
urbane. It's an
similar.
urbane. You can walk everywhere. You don't need a car.
Yeah.
And
And so then it was, when it was shooting here, it was just like, oh my God.
that is a much bigger culture
You have to
shock.
drive to the mall to walk around. You have to drive to walk. The isolation of it all. It was tough. And it took me probably a good 3 years to actually start liking being in LA.
It's like an impenetrable thing, LA. I find, like, it took me at least that long to like it. And I sometimes feel as if I just started liking it a little while ago. And I really wonder about that, because now I really have this intense affection for LA, but it took a long time to find that. And it would be especially difficult, I think, if you were raising a family, just because you care about their experiences and are they kind of getting the same cultural context that you had when you were a kid, and you're away from their grandparents and their aunts and uncles, and that must have been a big adjustment. And can I ask you a personal question, which you can feel free to say no? You lost your brother, like, you and I are around the same age, so like in your early 30s?
Yeah.
And was that right around the time that you started working on Without a Trace?
No, that was before. I lost my father when I started working on Without a Trace.
Oh, my God.
I was actually doing a film called The Murder of Stephen Lawrence when my brother died, which was about a woman whose son is killed, and the police sort of like cover up who killed her. I mean, it's huge. It was huge news in England. And so I was in the middle of doing that when he died, actually. He had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Was the diagnosis and when he passed, was that like a long period of time? Or?
No, it was actually quite quick. He went quite quickly and didn't suffer terribly.
Oh, that's good.
But I was in denial about,
Really?
my brother survived so many things, this guy, that it was like, he'll be fine.
Right.
It's just a pain.
And
He'll
he
turn up
was
here drunk next week. He'll be fine.
And he was young. I mean, I imagine he was young.
He was 41 when he
Yeah,
died.
so it doesn't even, I can see it not making any sense.
Yeah, no. It was very odd.
Did it affect you? Did it affect your work? Did it affect your acting?
It probably had to. I was working with Paul Greengrass at the time.
Oh, God, he's so great. Is he great? I
He
think
would
he's
have
great.
been on the list if
Right, if you'd made the second list.
If he'd been making films at
Right,
that time, but he hadn't.
oh.
But and I couldn't get hold of anyone because my brother died in the middle of the night.
Oh, gosh.
So I'm like frantically drinking brandy, mopping the kitchen floor. My husband's watching me thinking,
Well,
she's gone mad.
gone. This is it.
She's
It's
just
over.
crazy. And so I'm frantically calling all the producers, Paul, I'm calling everyone to go, look, my brother said, I don't know what to do.
Right.
And I know we've got to film tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the driver comes to pick me up.
In the morning.
Takes me into work. And I tell him, and he's just like, oh, my God, what do you want to do? I said, well, we're going to have to go and maybe come back. So he takes me to work. And then they all run in as they start arriving. And they go, look, would you go home? And I was like, but actually, I don't know that I want to go home.
Right.
Well, can you work? I said, I don't know. Because, okay, well, let us know if you want to go. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay then. So we worked for most of the day, actually, and I was fine. And we were doing a scene where Doreen Lawrence and her husband Neville are in the kitchen washing dishes. Mm-hmm. And it was bizarre. And he just, like, I think he just sort of, the guy Hugh, just put his arm on my shoulder or something. And I just, it was just the weirdest thing. And he was like, I'm so sorry. And I went, no, I don't know. And I kind of end up laughing because I'm just thinking, this is really silly, but it really isn't because you put your hands on my shoulder.
Right.
But it's probably just there.
Yeah.
You know?
And then did you stop, like,
we
step
stopped
off
for the
set
afternoon.
for a little bit?
Yeah. We had a big cuddle. And Paul was like, go home.
Yeah.
Like, all right then. But then the poor driver, he knew I loved music in the car.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Every channel that man turned to, there was some sad song. How can I live without you, Leanne Rimes? It was like, I mean, one after the other.
This poor guy.
This poor guy. Roy, his name was. And the following, I didn't go to work for another couple of days. And then we laughed about it so hard. He was going, I didn't know, and I knew that you'd be like upset if I turned the music off, because I know you love to have the music. He goes, but I just couldn't find.
I just imagine him like melting into a seat.
I know.
It's like, this is
he
going
kept
through.
looking in the rearview mirror while I was like, back of the car. Oh man.
Oh my God. And then you come here and you have like a big upheaval. You're moving your young children to a new country, and your husband, and I imagine you met in London, and you've been living in London your whole life. We talked a little bit about how different that was for you. I wonder culturally how different, and I'm talking about now culturally as an actor, how different that was for you.
Like, God, we speak the same language, but it stops there.
Really?
Yeah. It was really very difficult to just kind of go, oh, what do you mean by that? Mm-hmm. It was very interesting is an English writer came to Without a Trace in the second year. And the banter that we had, I mean, he was taken aside and told by the producers, you can't talk to her like that.
Oh, how interesting.
Because it was just expletives.
Right.
You silly cat. All that.
Yeah.
And just not kind of understanding that that's how...
That's how we are. Yeah, exactly.
That's how we are, and it's fine. And
he's
actually quite honest when he asks me, well, can you just bloody say it?
Right. Instead of mincing away and talking to producer and yeah. I could go with that. Right. And I wonder, is the set is a UK set, is a British set more collegial than an American set? Because it can be very hierarchical, and of course it's cultural. It's like and I mean like grandly cultural, but then specifically cultural. Like on some shows, everybody is more collegial and more. It's a little bit flattened in terms of people interacting with each other, and they're not being like, don't talk to the actors that way or don't talk to that guy that way. And on some shows, for whatever reason, because of one person or people running the show or whatever, the sets are very kind of separated. Right, yeah. I think that the stuff that I've worked on in England, although I've heard of people being nightmares and stuff going on, but the experiences I've had in England thus far have been kind of, evened out and more collaborative and just, working with David Tennant and Olivia Colman, who head up Broadchurch. Right. It's just like, they are beautiful. Yeah. The way they sit with everybody sits together, everybody sort of like hangs out, or they might go out to dinner, or, and it's very respectful, very respectful. But in theatre, which was really funny, I did a play in London
a couple of years ago, and they expect you to go off, if you're the lead, gosh, you eat, everybody eats together, and everybody,
Right.
because a lot of them sort of like, well, I'm the lead, and I'm
going to go off and have my time.
Have my moment.
Yeah.
I'm working so much harder than everybody else,
Yeah. Was there a moment, well, this is not, I don't know. I was going to say, was there a moment where you felt like, okay, this is, because you were on that show for 7 years, you know what I mean? And being on a series like that can be life-changing. And one of the ways it changes your life is that it just puts you in a position not just to have access to different, more varied roles, just by virtue of prominence, right? Also, it puts you in a financial position to take roles that you might not be able to take otherwise, because
fuck you money is always
good. Exactly. When that show went off the air, did you move back to London?
No, I stayed here because at that point I loved it. I loved being in LA. I loved the sunshine and the optimism,
We are an optimistic people here,
Yeah, and at first you're kind of like, that's bullshit. You don't feel that good. Nobody feels that good, And then when you go back to London and somebody practically throws your plate at you in a restaurant, you're like, give me LA, whether it's false or genuine, give it to me.
Right.
I prefer it.
There is, and that optimism also translates the idea of like, well, of course I can have it the way that I would like it. Why would I not? And not in a shitty way, but times I've been in London, my friends that are British or Irish, I'll be like, well, I don't like this. I want to turn it back and get something else. Well, you can't do that. Well, of course I can. I have to pay for it. I'm not going to eat this.
Yeah.
And they'll no, but that's not just done. Just eat it, and that's how it came. Yeah. And that is a big cultural difference. I think
it really is. I mean, they'll literally go to you, well, what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't like it.
Yeah,
it's not seasoned very well, and there's salt and pepper on the table. Like, do you know what? Please. Whereas here, you can order a Caesar salad and turn it into a Cobb.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? And you go, why don't you just order the Cobb? Like, can I have the Caesar with the Cobb dressing, and can you put some bacon in there? But that is not a Caesar
half
salad.
Chicken, half lobster, avocado. Yeah. Is it a Cobb salad? No, Caesar. And then go back through the litany of things again. Just make sure you understood me. And so have you lived here since do you go back and forth now?
Yeah, I go back and forth. Yeah.
And your family's still in London?
My family's still in London.
There's something I want to ask that I've been dancing around, and I guess it's about the difference between the life of someone who works in kind of because you are on a series right now on another television series. You had a big break in the interim from not from acting but from series television. I guess it's just as an actor, is there a life that you prefer?
I love the autonomy of being able to do theatre or film or guest spot or, I prefer that, I would say. I like freedom. I don't like having to have to.
Yeah. It's like an interesting kind of rock and hard place because there,
really
what I mean? There's a different kind of freedom you get with being on a series, which is just the reliability of the gig.
Yes, and that's great.
Yeah,
all
but
it's
it can be a gilded cage,
and it
for
can
sure.
be a grind.
Right, yeah.
With a lot of shows, it's a lot of hours. It kind of, most shows get 6 weeks off?
Yeah. Maybe 2 months if you're lucky. No.
And a week at Christmas.
Yeah, and the hours can just eat you alive.
They can.
Yeah.
They can. And it's fast. It's a lot faster than,
Yeah, there's
the other stuff. There's no time to take time.
No.
Sometimes you get pages the same day, and it's like
right before the scene, this has been rewritten.
Yeah.
And coming from the experience that you had with Mike Lee, where you spent 6 months, did you work in an optometrist's office?
Yes, I studied optometry. At City and London College, and then went off and interned.
I mean,
and there's one poxy scene that's less than 12 seconds long with me testing someone's eyes. I know. You want to just punch him sometimes. I just wanted to kill him. But I tell you, by the time you finish that film, I was like, give me a script, any script. I don't give a shit. I just want, my brain is tired.
Yeah.
I just want
Of just, constantly kind of trying to pick apart this moment in the moment, but it isn't, especially with 1 hour, you're just kind of getting in there and like hitting your mark, getting those lines out.
Yeah, and it does vary director by director. Some are just like, stand there, say it like that, louder, faster.
Right.
That's a good one. Faster, faster, faster.
And then moving on. So I think it's actually time for self-inflicted wounds.
Oh my God. I've been thinking about it. It's been at the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no.
No?
No.
I always tell people that it's not like it's a requirement. You know what I mean? Like it's a fun thing, but it shouldn't be like a test.
I had a self-inflicted wound, but it turned out to be, like I've said, I've got this pattern of disadvantages turning into advantages, right? So I always had this weight thing, right? So, well, not always. Our post-baby weight type kind of like thing. And this lady who used to do my hair, we'd talk about different diets and the workouts. And I was at Barry's boot camp. I did all that stuff. Anyway, I didn't see her for quite a while. And I bump into her at, I think it was Gelson's. And she looked like spelt and all this stuff. And I was like, God, what did you do? And she was like, oh, honey, I had a tummy tuck. I went, what? And she was like, yeah, I got the look. And she showed me her belly, and it was like,
oh my God, yes.
And I was like, shit. And she was like, I'll give you his number. I'll give you his number. So I was like, yeah, all right then.
Right.
So I take the number and I go back to the apartment. And I go online, and before I know it, I'm typing in the LA Marathon. .com, and I flipping sign up.
Wow.
Then and there.
Right.
To run the marathon. Rather than have elective
surgery.
Not that I have anything against it for those who want to do it, but I signed up to do that.
Yeah.
And then came the training for that.
Right.
And, having to do these long runs on a Saturday and then coming to it and doing it. And I think, I did all the training, so it was really good. So the first 13 miles are like, I'm fit,
easy.
I'm wonderful, I'm going to change the world. By the time you get to 17, it's almost, there's a split personality.
Oh, yeah.
And this voice is there telling you all this shit about yourself. You've never completed this. You bought that sewing machine, you haven't even taken it out of the box. You never finish anything you start. Go and sit over there. Well, what are you trying to prove? Just tormenting me the whole time.
No one will judge you if you walk off the course. No one's even watching.
That one came.
Yeah.
That one came. But I did it, but it hurt. It hurt like hell.
And for weeks afterwards.
For weeks, going down the stairs was much worse than going up. Didn't go to the toilet for 2 days.
Oh my God.
My God, and when I went, I wanted to call animal control. I thought I should get a hanger and a metal hanger and make sure it's not alive. It was one of those. So.
Oh my God.
But that was a self-inflicted wound, I have to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the upshot of all of that is you actually did it and you finished it.
I did.
Yeah, and I think it can be like a great mental reference point of like, I've got the mental toughness to push through, like hallucinating essentially.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
I felt mad. I really did.
Yeah.
And the only way I got through it was I was literally running, shouting, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left, like a lunatic.
I think that was a superlative story and exactly right. Marianne, this was so lovely. Thank you for doing my show. I'm just, I'm delighted and transported. So thanks for the time.
Yay.
That was Marianne Jean-Baptiste. She's so great and interesting, isn't she? Oh, God, yummy. Just like a yummy conversation and one that I could have carried on for a very, very long time. And I find her, I don't know, just mysterious, wonderful, delightful, interesting, and I love her career. I think she's pretty special. If you watched her on Without a Trace, I think she did that show with an American accent, but her actual accent is pretty dazzling and cool. That was that. Hey, everybody, you know what to do. Come follow me and friend me online. I am in the middle of editing my film. I directed a feature film, and I'm in the middle of editing it now. And I'll be doing that all summer and hopefully getting it ready to submit to festivals in the fall. It's a dream come true. I'm not going to lie to you. And it went so spectacularly. For those of you who participated in my Kickstarter campaign, I can never thank you enough. But you are going to be thanked with rewards as soon as we get those all together and out in the mail and everybody gets their information back to us. It went beautifully. It was an extraordinary experience, a life-changing experience for me as an artist, and just so insanely fucking cool. And I can't wait to share more of that with you. But right now, I'm just deep in the process of looking at everything we shot and getting ready to assemble it into an actual movie. So. Very cool, and I will be posting some information and some updates to my backers online in the coming weeks. And also, there are a few spots left. For my annual listener appreciation event at Comic-Con. We have a bigger space. We have a little bit more space for people, so we have a few spots left. And if you rush, you may be able to get one. I think there are maybe 10 seats left. So send me an email at contest@girlandguy.net, contest@girlandguy.net, and see if you can get those seats. It's a very special event. You get all kinds of free gifts, and you get to be a part of a live taping of Girl on Guy. So this is the first year where we have a little bit more space. We can admit a few more people, and so I encourage you to write in. There's still time to get a seat at our listener event. So do that. Write me a letter, and hopefully I'll get to meet you in San Diego. You guys are the greatest. You are my army. You are Legion. You know what to do. Come follow me from me online. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. There's more. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, MySpace. I'm not doing Snapchat, guys. I just cannot learn one more stupid social media platform. I can't do it. I'm also not 11. I'm just done. But that's plenty. That's plenty of ways to connect with me. So do that and come write me a letter at girlandguy.net for the annual Awesome All Listener Question Show. Never too early, but it can definitely get too late. You guys are my army. You are, God, what are you guys? So fucking amazing is what you are. You are spectacular, stupendous, dazzling, overwhelming, brilliant, inspiring, and Legion. And I cannot wait to talk to you on the next one. Late. This is Girl on Guy.